What's going on, Bears fans, and welcome into Chicago Bears Now, a special Tuesday live edition of the show. We've had a Friday show last week, a Tuesday show this week. Normally we're Mondays and Thursdays, but with the NBA draft last week and NBA free agency day one yesterday, we've had to move some things around, but still want to make sure we're going live and keeping you guys informed. So thanks to everybody for being here and being adaptable. We got producer Cullen ready to rock and roll on the ones and twos. And the calendars turned July. First of all, happy birthday to my mother. She is not going to reveal her age, but it is her birthday today. So if she's watching, happy birthday, Nan. And when the calendar turns July, I didn't even realize this, Cullen. There is a football game this month.
Yes.
The Hall of Fame game this year, because with Labor Day falling on September 1st, college football is earlier, NFL is earlier. So we got the Hall of Fame game July 31st. We're back.
We're
We're
back,
just
baby.
about back.
Yeah. CFB 26 comes out this month. We've got a Hall of Fame game.
When is that coming out?
The 10th. Well, early access is the 7th. So
God,
if you're
I'm
one
going to
of those
have to
lucky
get
ones.
in, aren't I? I'm going to have to just
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. By the way, happy birthday to your mom.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy birthday to any Bears fans out there. But, yeah, also, let us know down in the chat while you shout out your city. What's your favorite days for me and Harry to go live? Is it the regular Monday, Thursday? Is it like Sundays during game day? Is it Friday? Is it Tuesday? Is it whenever? Let us know your favorite day.
I'm trying
we'll
to
go
think
live.
if there's a day of the week we've never gone live.
Have we gone live on a Wednesday? Because I think
There wouldn't have been a game.
we've gone live on a Friday because that Friday
Oh,
was...
I've done Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday.
You've done a Friday because that was we went live the day Matt Eberflus got fired.
That was a Friday.
That was a Friday. It was the Friday after
Wednesday and
Thanksgiving.
Saturday are the two. I'm trying to think if the Bears have had a Saturday game or if there's been a breaking news situation that's been. Actually, I've definitely done Saturday because of preseason football.
Yes. So that would be correct.
Wednesday would be the only. I'm guessing I have at some point though.
You know, maybe just like a schedule conflict, like you couldn't go Thursday, so we had to go
Yeah,
live.
or some kind of breaking news or. Oh well, wait a second. Free agency.
Yeah, duh.
Outside of that though, I'm not sure.
Walter's got us. He says you've done Wednesday for agency.
Jason, yeah. Yes, we've gone live every day.
Yeah.
The highest volume is definitely Monday, I would say.
Cornelius says Sunday. Strap says Monday through Thursday. What up, Walter? Says the Nodcast. When is Colin's Bears Now anniversary? It actually was the draft, believe it or not.
Technically the draft, yeah.
I'm
I'm trying to remember if there was like a formal "you're the guy now" moment. I don't think there really was. It kind of just naturally happened.
Yeah, just kind of just came. Started at the draft, and then
You were doing it some after the draft, but I guess would it have been like training camp when it was like fully?
no, I was on. I think it was like June when I like fully took over.
Okay.
So I guess technically last month, if you
Yeah,
want to
because
look
I
at
guess
it that
in
way.
May we were still kind of
Yeah, because May was
patchwork and everything.
Yeah, I was still with Petey at that point, and shout out to Petey. But Thursdays are our bad luck days when we play. That is, LOL. Yeah, no, it's been a little over a year. But yeah, appreciate you asking. So
It's been fun. Hopefully
Walter
this
says I'm
year-
about to crack a beer open for your mama's birthday. Shout out to you.
Listen, if that gives you a reason to crack a cold one, by all means. But drink responsibly, my friend.
If someone sends in a super chat, I'll crack open a cold one.
Oh.
Why not? It's a Tuesday.
Okay.
Why not?
It's a Tuesday. Why?
Why not? We're live on a Tuesday.
You're a champion.
Exactly. Exactly.
You're still a champion.
Absolutely.
So this is what, day 9 of being a champion?
Yeah.
Do you still feel like as much of a champion as you did 9 days ago?
I'm not going to lie. The fact that one of our good friends here at Chat Sports, Marshall Green, keeps asking me every day, hey, are you nervous about this happening? He just keeps reminding me, oh, yeah, I am a champion. So,
Yeah.
No, I do. And hippity hop, shout out Soldier Bear. Yeah, no, I am a champ. So, and look, Walter's coming in with a come on, brother. I got you, dude. I got you.
Is.
And Wasim Big
Wasim.
Khan comes in with a little super chat. Appreciate you, Wasim.
Shout out to the real ones.
Wasim.
Colin, you can throw this on screen if you want to go
Yeah, gotcha.
get something for yourself. But Who do you guys think, assuming they don't make a move, which they still might, we'll see at running back, but who do you think is RB2 out of these two guys? Roschon Johnson or Kyle Monangai? This is also the live poll, so go vote over there, 122 votes. 54% say Monangai, the 7th-round rookie out of Rutgers, and then 46% say Roschon Johnson, who's entering his 3rd season. Stefan, Mike, Tuffy, and Jose all say Roschon. Prometheus, Wasim, Ron say Monangai. Soldier Bear says it'll be Monangai halfway through. Certainly possible where they give Roschon the first crack at it, but then maybe Monangai's role grows. Who knows? But, yeah, we'll see. Cullen's about to crack a happy dad. We know who Cullen's voting for.
Yeah.
His first draft crush.
Oh, my
Kyle
God.
Monangai.
I need him. If he just has one good play this year, I am over the moon.
He's going to be a preseason legend.
Oh, yes. He is.
He might get 15 carries a game in the preseason.
He very well might. And I can't wait because it's going to be electric. It's going to be absolutely electric.
We may have to get you a Monangai Bears
like a little
jersey.
Bears jersey.
That might have to. That might have to be your game day fit.
Maybe.
You're the biggest Monangai stan there is.
No, there's no doubt. Outside of maybe his own mama. And
yeah,
even then maybe.
outside of the Monangai family.
Yeah.
I think Cullen is the number one. And I like Monangai, but Cullen's on a whole different level. Walter Caldwell, there he is. He just cracked it.
Salute to you, brother.
He just cracked it. Appreciate you, Walter.
And then a little Wasim action. Wasim.
Shout out Wasim Khan.
Says bear down FGB.
The two mottos, baby. He knows.
Get those
He
FGBs
knows.
down in the chat.
A Monangai jersey would be ice.
It would be.
That would be like just a sick flex of a jersey.
Yeah.
Like what jersey you rocking at the local bar for the Bears game? Yeah, I'm rocking a Kyle Monangai jersey. What are you rocking over there? Oh, cliche Jalen Johnson, DJ Moore, Cole. I'm rocking a fucking Kyle Monangai jersey.
We'll have to see if we can.
Give me a Joel Wilson jersey.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff.
Oh, man.
Appreciate y'all bringing the energy today, man. I need a Kyle Monangai football card. That'd be dope.
Signed by Kyle. I reached out to Kyle Monangai on IG. I need to figure out who his agent is. He'd be a good interview, I think.
He would be. I also tried to reach out to him on Instagram. Believe it or not, so I went back to that original clip.
Mm-hmm.
It was back in January when I originally made the draft crush or whatever. And then
Was it before the combine?
it was.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. We had been talking about it, so yeah, it was like January 28th or 29th, one of the two. So
It's almost 6 months in the making.
Man's a pure football guy, so naturally didn't respond. So I appreciate
Yeah.
it. He's locked in on the football.
He's focused.
He is.
Focused.
Exactly.
He's dialed.
Nah.
But no, this will be something to watch at training camp, which rookies report, including Monangai, 18 days, July 19th. The rest of the squad, the 22nd. And then I think the first practice is either the 23rd or 24th. I think the first open practice for fans is the 25th. So be here before we know it. Okay, bit of Bears fans since 3 says, I'm getting Ray Rice feels from Kyle. Am I crazy? Well, they're both physical, and they both went to Rutgers. Hopefully Kyle keeps it scaled back off the field. Although, to Ray Rice's credit, he's turned that awful moment into kind of a motivational type of post-career thing, so good for him. Yeah, both similar builds. I would say the one big difference before I read the rest of this is Ray Rice profiled as a much better pass catcher out of college.
He did.
And we'll talk about this potentially later today, Monangai, he showed off the ability to catch the ball throughout OTAs and minicamp. So maybe it was just a role thing at Rutgers. But bit of Bears fans since 3 also says, can't wait for the Bears to hit their potential. Always said talent was there last year. FGB.
And F. Eberflus.
Yeah, F. Eberflus. yeah, that's, the F. Fluses are going to be flying in week 3. That's for sure. Bears, Cowboys.
True.
But
Yeah.
there's a lot of story games for the Bears this year. They
There
got
are.
Eberflus coming to town, Rodgers coming to town, every divisional game. So that's half the schedule right there. That's 8 games.
Including Ben Johnson's return to
But John's
Detroit.
returned to Detroit. I guess that's a part of those 6 games, but yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. Okay, I mean the first 3 games really. JJ's first start as he returns to Chicago, the area he's from. Ben Johnson revenge game in Detroit, and then Eberflus revenge game in Chicago. So that's the first 3 weeks of the year. DC Viper, this is a disgusting stat line for the Bears in 35 years. The Packers lead 56-17. Let's hope the Bears flip this for the next decade or more. Yeah, it's been a bloodbath, and it's, what stands out when you think of the last 35 years for the Bears and Packers? Well, I'll tell you. The Packers have essentially had 3 quarterbacks in that time frame. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and now Jordan Love. The Bears have had about 35 quarterbacks in that frame. Stability at the quarterback position goes a long way. And if Caleb's that guy, then hopefully this will start to turn. They beat him last time they played. We'll see how it goes this year. But, when you have a consistent quarterback, they've had some good coaches too, that makes a big difference. So, it's time to turn this rivalry around, no doubt about it. Appreciate the super chat, DC.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Owen Spencer will get yours loaded up here in a second. He says, if we are looking like a playoff team, who do you think we can trade for? What positions? Defensive line or defensive back? If Byard is not playing well, trade for Minka? ?
Sorry, I got sidetracked. Tim Hardaway to the Nuggets.
Oh, nice.
That's actually an interesting pickup.
Very interesting.
This was Owens you read. If we were looking like a playoff team,
Yep.
who do you think we could trade for?
There you go.
What positions? Defensive line or DB? If Byard is not playing well, trade for Minka. Well, I don't think the Dolphins are going to turn around and trade Minka. Maybe at the deadline if they're having a bad year. I also think, I don't think Byard's just going to fall off a cliff. Now, could he, continue to decline a little bit? I mean, he's older. He's not at the peak. But if he plays similar to what he played last year, it's starting caliber safety. I'm perfectly fine with that. He's making like $7 million. It's not, you're not paying him to be Jesse Bates or something like that. But if a long-term option at safety were to free up and a move made sense, I mean, you could certainly consider it because both Kevin Byard and Jaquan Brisker and your top backups, Elijah Hicks and Jonathan Owens, are all free agents after this year. So there's a world where next year your safety room is just a complete retool, and none of these guys are back. So never say never. I think there's bigger needs. I think you've got what you need to get by this year. If you want to add a free agent to that group, you could. I don't think trading for a safety is something that they would consider. We've talked about a lot of defensive linemen, the Clowneys, the Smiths, the Hendricksons, the Von Millers. We've beat that down to a drum. Obviously, if there's new reporting on all those situations, we'll continue to monitor that. But none of those guys have signed, so I think you're going to wait and see for training camps which teams look to make a move. But I mean, you typically don't see a lot of action this time of year. Like that trade yesterday was pretty unique.
Very unique. And again, could the Bears potentially make a trade, at the trade deadline? Of course, depending on how they start and, approach the season and how the team looks, yada, yada, yada. But, yeah, I think you nailed it. I mean, just looking at this defensive back room, I think if they were viewing this as like, hey, a group that they're worried about, they would have addressed it by now in terms of either free agency or the draft. I think, again, barring, and I'm knocking on wood here, injury for Byard or Brisker, they can tread water with the guys that they have kind of in the backup range for defensive back. So
there's a couple of guys out there that I'm still intrigued with. I mean, who's the guy that's been with the Colts for a few years?
Blackman, Julian
Blackman's still out there. Now, some people think maybe the Steelers will sign him or Justin Simmons after trading Minka, so we'll see on that front. But, there's a couple of guys out there if they need to make a move at some point. Okay, we got a lot to get to, so help us out. Hit the like button. Only 23 likes, over 230 people watching. So help us out. Hit the like button. Let's get more Bears fans in here. And here's what we got coming up here on today's show. A lot of second-round picks, not only for the Bears, have not signed. Why is that? We explore that coming up off the top here. We'll take your questions, load them in the live chat. If you super chat, guaranteed to get on the show. You can also use hashtag Bears to get your question answered. For example, hashtag Bears, is Caleb Williams going to win a Super Bowl or not with the Bears? That would be an example of a question, but you got to use hashtag Bears, all one word, no space, for our software to pick it up. And then we'll take a look at my top 5 2025 breakout candidates. We'll also revisit. I did 10 last year. I didn't realize that. And definitely some mixed results on how it turned out. So we'll kind of do that as well. But that's all coming up next here on Chicago Bears Now. We'll talk a little second rounders off the top here. Should Bears fans be worried that none of the second-round picks of Luther Burden, Ozzy Trapilo, and Shemar Turner have yet to sign their contracts? Well, Adam Schefter had a note on this. This is not a Bears issue. This is a league-wide issue. So we're going to dive into why they haven't signed. Plus, I'm going to kind of give my best and worst-case scenario for their rookie seasons for each 3 of these guys. It's all coming up next here on Chicago Bears Now. I'm Harrison Graham. Contractual concerns. Are there any? Should we be worried? As Luther Burden III, Ozzy Trapilo, and Shemar Turner, as of filming this on July 1st, have yet to sign their rookie contracts. Now, reminder, important date for all these guys, rookies and quarterbacks, report to Hallis Hall for training camp on Saturday, July 19th. So as of filming this, that gives us the Bears 18 days to get this contract done for these players. And obviously, depending on when you're watching this, regardless of when, less than 3 weeks. So still plenty of time, but obviously getting closer. When the calendar turns July and there's rookie contract stuff, you're like, okay, there's a deadline soon. But remember, not even for second rounders, Caleb Williams and Odunze didn't sign until I think the day before they had to report last year. So this does happen sometimes. But Adam Schefter recently had the note of that regarding second-round picks of this, then I wanted to get into it since the Bears have 3 second-round picks this year. Heading into the weekend, in less than a month from training camp, only 2 of the NFL's 32 second-round draft picks have been signed. Deals are stalled over whether or not contracts will be fully guaranteed. The only 2 2025 second-round picks now signed are Cleveland's Carson Schweizinger and Houston's Jaden Higgins. And I checked Jaden Higgins, for example. He got fully guaranteed, so I would assume Schweizinger did as well. And the second round has kind of become the, I guess, breaking point, if you want to call it, because first-round picks are fully guaranteed, and then third-round picks and beyond, third-rounders get at least a year, if not 2 years guaranteed, in some cases 3, and then you get beyond that, the guaranteed money lessens from there all the way down the line. So this second-round pick, and, agents have really pushed for this in the last, I'll call it 2 years, that they want these second-rounders to be fully guaranteed, and some teams have budged and some haven't. And, the Bears are in an interesting spot because they didn't have a second-round pick last year. They had 2 first-round picks in Caleb and Rome, and then Kiran Amegadjie was a third-round pick. He did not get a fully guaranteed deal. The last time the Bears had second-round picks were in 2023. That was Tyrique Stevenson and Gervon Dexter, and I checked. Neither have guaranteed money left. Less than 50% of their rookie contracts were guaranteed. So they actually are at the point where they kind of have to earn their the money that they would be slated to make by making the team, because if not, the Bears actually do not owe them any more guaranteed money. Now, people get confused. It's like, wait, are they playing for free? No, they're not playing for free, but if they were to get cut, the Bears don't have to pay them anymore, right? Whereas if someone has $6 million guaranteed left on their deal and they cut them, they still owe them $6 million. So I do think I think the 2+2 model is pretty dead, where Tyrique and Gervon, they got their first 2 years guaranteed, but their last 2 has 0 guaranteed money. That you're not seeing that anymore. I think teams that are trying to push back, they're like, well, we shouldn't have to guarantee the 4th year. And so it's one of those, do you guarantee all 4 years of a rookie contract for a second rounder, or is it a 3+1? It'll be interesting to see what happens with the Bears. I mean, with Luther Burden being the 39th pick, I'm guessing his agent's going to push pretty hard for a fully guaranteed contract. Trapilo and Turner are closer to the end of the second round. Maybe that's a 3+1 situation for each of those 2 guys. So we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, I mean, these agents and, with the player association, all that, they're trying to push for more guaranteed money, which I don't blame them. That's part of doing their job. They're trying to get their client even more money. Now, should we be concerned? Are there any concerns? Until July 19th is here, I'm not, because last year people were freaking out and there was never any real reporting that Caleb or Rome wouldn't sign. They were first-round picks, a different situation, but they signed the day before. It was perfectly fine. But, it does happen, right? Like Roquan Smith missed some of training camp because there was a contractual issue between he and the Bears, and that was a storyline at the time. Forget what year that was, but that was a real thing. The Shemar Stewart thing in Cincinnati, I think that's something to watch. But in the end, I expect these guys to all sign and be full throttle. But until they do, it is a storyline, and that is the reason, because these agents are pushing for fully guaranteed contracts for these second-round picks, something that first-round picks have had for quite a while. Okay, subscribe to the channel because we will have full Bears training camp coverage, reaction to what's happening out at the practice field, and any other news storylines around the team during training camp, which is less than 3 weeks away. So hit that subscribe button. We'll have plenty of more content on a daily basis as well. That's not training camp related between now and then and during training camp. When training camp is slow, we'll have other content cooked up for you guys. So hit the subscribe button. Turn on that notification bell. That way you know exactly when we go live and when we publish videos, because we will keep you guys informed. Okay, so that's the news part of this. This is why they're not signed, because of the guaranteed money stuff. Now, I'm going to get into my expectations for each of these three players for their rookie season. Not career, nothing like that. What I think is the best and the worst case scenario for each of these guys as a rookie. Let's start with Luther Burden III, who, there were whispers leading up to the draft of minor character concerns of, does he love football, this and that. I mean, I thought his tape and his ability was a top 15 player in the class, but there's a reason he fell to the second round. I think there was some chatter to that. Eli Drinkwitz, his college head coach, big defender of his, called him a dog and a big-time playmaker. So, I think it's one of those, depending on who you talk to, people had concerns. So I think the variance for him as a rookie could be wide, because there could be some maturation needed with Luther Burden. I think best-case scenario is by the end of this season, DJ Moore is expendable heading into next year. And why do I say that? Because they have a lot of similar skill set overlap, right? Luther Burden III, very good after the catch, can play on the outside and in the slot. You can use him as a returner, which is a skill set that DJ possessed early in his career before he established himself as a high-level receiver. Both are physical, both are really good in space and can make guys miss. There's just a lot of overlap in their games, and it's one of those situations where if by the end of the year it's like, whoa, this guy can really play. He could be a 1,000-yard guy moving forward. Well, DJ Moore, who's making a bunch of money, his contract becomes a little more tradable next year. There could be a world, as Ryan Poles is trying to play the salary cap game, where, okay, we're going to go with Rome and Luther moving forward, pivot off of DJ Moore. That's the ultimate best case scenario, and even then you would still maybe keep DJ, but that's number one. I think the worst case scenario is you see flashes. I don't really see a world where you don't even see flashes. He's just too damn talented. But he's kind of unreliable. Maybe he's not as mature as he needs to be. Maybe he doesn't have the playbook down completely. Maybe some of the things that you see on tape are just a little inconsistent. He's a rookie who missed all of OTAs and minicamp, so he's already going to be playing catch-up during training camp. So I think that's the worst case, where you see the upside, but it doesn't really all come together. Maybe he has like a 300, 400, 500-yard season instead of a 600, 700, 800-yard season, and you're kind of left wanting more, and perhaps Zacchaeus actually becomes a more trustworthy player this year, and you're heading into year two hoping that he takes a big, giant step. So I think that's the worst case. In reality, in all these situations, you're probably somewhere in the middle. I do see a scenario where Burden starts slow. Again, he's going to be playing catch-up, missing all of OTAs and minicamp. This is an offense that's not considered super easy to pick up. Like, it takes time. It takes reps. You can only do so many mental reps before you get out there and actually do it. So I think training camp early on, you might hear stories of, yeah, he's behind Zacchaeus right now. He ran the wrong route on this play, stuff like that. Like, that wouldn't shock me at all. I think the Bears have enough options at receiver where they don't need to force the issue with Burden early. That's the good news. But obviously, you drafted this guy for a reason, because he's got big-time potential. It's just unclear when that's going to be fully untapped at this point in time. Get yourself a Caleb Williams jersey at chatsports.com/Caleb jersey. They're only $100, guys. Take advantage of these right now. Most of these jerseys are $120, $150, hell, $200. Nike authentic Caleb Williams Bears jerseys for $100. It's the best deal available. Chatsports.com/Caleb Jersey. Order today. Get your jersey before training camp. Okay, Ozzy Trapilo. Let's get into the best and worst case for the 56th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. This one's pretty easy, right? Best case, he wins the left tackle job, plays pretty well, right? I'm not going to be like, best case, he's an all-pro as a rookie. That's probably unrealistic. But it is realistic where he could win the job and play pretty well. So that's number one. Worst case is not only does he lose out to Braxton Jones, but they actually like Kiran Amegadjie's progress better, and maybe Ozzy Trapilo actually is just the backup right tackle where he played his last 2 years at Boston College, whereas Braxton's a starter, Kiran Amegadjie's like the swing/backup left tackle, and Ozzy's the third guy out of those three right now. I think that would be the worst case scenario. I don't think there'd be a scenario where it's like, oh God, he can't play at this level, but maybe he needs a year of building NFL strength. Who knows, right? Once the pads go on, we'll get a clearer picture of that. I personally think he'll at least be somewhere in the middle. Like, I think he'll beat out Kiran Amegadjie. If I had to guess, I think he profiles better as a pass protector, which Ben Johnson said is first and foremost in terms of order of importance of what he wants to see out of his offensive tackles. You got to protect the quarterback first. I think he profiles as that better than Amegadjie, who profiles more as a physical run blocker. So I think you've got that. So we'll see what happens. I think there's a decent chance he wins the job. I think it'll end up between him and Braxton Jones, and depending on Jones's health, he may not really be a big factor, so that'll obviously be a big storyline heading into training camp as well. And then lastly, Shemar Turner, who, I think this could come along a little slower because his last year at Texas A&M is when they kicked him inside. He's still kind of learning how to play in there after playing on the edge early on in college. Had the foot injury that he was battling through and missed all of the offseason this year leading up to the combine and the draft and all of that. Is healthy now, so that's good, and he was at OTAs and minicamp. I think the best case scenario is by the end of the season, he's the team's best three-tech. Maybe he is just throughout the season flashes and just ascends and like, oh, all of a sudden he's better than Grady Jarrett, who's still a fine player, but he's 32, and obviously his best days are probably behind him. Worst case, he's like a tweener without a defined role. Because what is something we talked about when they drafted him? Is he a three-tech? Do they want to play him at nose? Do they consider playing him at edge? It sounds like they're starting him at three-tech, and they're going to let him work there first. And I do think his body type, ideally in a 4-3, is as a three-tech. He's like 295. 292, which profiles as a good speed rusher, but he has good power as well. I do think, though, he might need a year to develop. Defensive lineman, it's tough going to the NFL. Even when you come from the SEC, it's like you're making a big jump. This is a different ballgame. I mean, even a guy like Will Anderson Jr., right, out of Alabama a couple years ago, comes out, has a really good rookie year. I think he had like 5 sacks. It's not like these guys don't come in and just dominate. Like even the really good ones, even like Jared Verse, who was awesome as a rookie. I think he had 4.5 sacks last year. So you might look up at the end of the year and be like, yeah, you saw some upside with Turner, but more development is needed, which is very similar to Gervon Dexter, by the way, who ended up taking a step forward in year 2. So, probably somewhere in the middle where he's a rotation guy this year. You see the upside, but you also see the inconsistency. That would be my guess for Shemar Turner. Okay, who's going to have the best rookie year out of all 3 second-round picks? Is it Luther Burden, Ozzy Trapilo, or Shemar Turner? Take a guess down in the comment section below, LB, OT, or ST, and let us know what you think. My name is Harrison Graham. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to this episode of Chicago Bears Now. Do not worry. These guys should get signed sooner rather than later. I'm not concerned yet. Neither should you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and bear down.
The Notcast, appreciate the super chat, says, ever think about starting a Patreon? Viewers can get exclusive content and giveaways, and maybe can vote on video ideas. I'd 100% spend $5 to $10 a month for that.
Ever think about starting a Patreon? We have thought about, we've kind of flirted with the idea of either that or like YouTube has like memberships you can do as well where we can do bonus stuff. We've thought about it. We pride ourselves on free content, but I will say this. If we ever did it, and you guys, just curious. In fact, why not? I'll make this a live poll right now. You guys can vote. Would you be interested in bonus content via Patreon or YouTube memberships.
Would you get it through like YouTube Premium or whatever?
No, that's different. That is where you like don't pay for ads on YouTube.
Gotcha. I didn't know if it was
You
the
can
same
be a
thing.
member of a channel like McAfee or whatever and pay. There's like different tiers. You can pay like $4 a month, $10 a month, and you get certain little perks. You guys let me know in the chat, yes or no. Like, would you pay $5 to $10 a month, like the Notcast is saying, for bonus content? Maybe like little film studies, maybe little personalized videos where I just kind of pull out my phone and spit on an extra topic for 5 minutes a couple times a week. If not, no worries. If you would, cool. It'd be an easy way to support the show as well. But I'll say this, if we ever did it would just be extra stuff because we're not changing our format. We pride ourselves on free content, providing you guys that. That would never change. It's not like we would make our watch parties members only or something like that. Just something that we could consider in the future. But the long-winded answer, Notcast, is it has been sort of loosely discussed in the past, but never deeply discussed. And looks like about a fourth of y'all would do it. So, it'd be one of those things. If we felt like enough of you guys would be interested in it, we'd consider it. If not, we'd probably keep status quo. So, that's probably the simplest way I could answer it. All right, mailbag time. #Bears or Super Chat to get your questions answered on the show. If you Super Chat, you jump to the top of the line. #Bears, pretty good chance you'll get answered too. We need more questions, so load them in there. Training camp around the corner if you want to ask about position battles or players the Bears could add to compete, whatever. Schedule questions, whatever you got. Launch those into the chat, and we will be sure to get those answered. So Cornelius has got one in there. I don't know if there's any Super Chat. Looks like there's a few other #Bears earlier that are in there as well.
Y'all can obviously use #Bears while we're answering some of these questions. I'll still be able to pull them up through our software. So if you think of one maybe while Harry's answering a question, by all means, you can do that as well too. So
fire away.
Should be good.
How random, by the way, was the Darren Waller deal?
That was out of the blue.
I mean
like that and Damian Lillard getting cut. I mean, just two things I didn't think I was ever going to
I think the Waller thing's actually crazier just because,
No, it is.
The Dame thing, while it's shocking, it's like, well, he's 35, torn Achilles. They're trying to, even if that report of Giannis being pissed is true, it's like they're trying to get another piece for Giannis, and Dame's going to miss next year. I actually can, see, why they did that.
Yeah.
It's not that I can't see why Miami trade. I just didn't know he wanted to play football again. So that was just kind of out of nowhere. So, yeah, kind of crazy. All right, let's do this mailbag. That's an interesting Super Chat from K Beatty. We'll get that in there as well. But #Bears Super Chat, load them in the comment section, and we'll get as many answers as possible. Is this from the Cullen Brown? This has got to be a burner. Welcome into Bears Now. This is our mailbag that we do once or twice a week. My name is Harrison Graham. Cullen Brown says, is Roschon Johnson or Kyle Monangai more likely to be RB2? Well, I know who Cullen wants, and that is Kyle Monangai. Listen, let's just face the facts. Last year was not a good year for Roschon Johnson. Now, was he used properly? Was the scheme an issue? You could point to a lot of things. One thing he was effective in was short yardage and goal line. He was really effective on picking up a yard to either get into the end zone or get a first down. Had 6 touchdowns on just 55 carries, but was very inefficient. Now, when a lot of your touches are in short yardage, that's going to bring your yards per carry down, so fair enough. But that rookie year where he was like the third running back on the left side of the screen was much more effective than last year when he was given the opportunity to be the second running back. Also, he's had either one, I think 2 concussions, though. I think he's had a concussion in each of his first 2 years. And when you're kind of a physical back, that can be a bit of an issue. So you've got that going on. Then you've got Monangai, who his last 2 years at Rutgers was very consistent, right? Similar workload each year, 5 yards per carry, 2,500 plus rushing yards, 21 rushing touchdowns. Wasn't used much as a pass catcher, but in the spring, early summertime for the Bears at OTAs and minicamp, reports out of OTAs is that he played pretty well catching the football in particular. So that gets me excited. You know, I think with both these guys, they're pads on guys. Like, they're physical players. Monangai's contact balance is elite. Roschon can lower the shoulder on you. So I'm excited to see how this goes. I mean, in a perfect world, Monangai would win it because you've just got the 4-year runway, right? You just have more time on that rookie contract where he doesn't cost a lot of money, but the better player will play. Could they add someone to the room? Certainly possible, but I think Roschon's got the inside track. He'll get the first opportunity to be RB2, but I think that's going to be a pretty healthy competition behind DeAndre Swift at running back. Who do you guys think RB2 is or is going to be? Type RJ for Roschon Johnson, KM for Kyle Monangai. Guess I would lean Roschon. I'm rooting for Monangai. I'm not rooting against Roschon. I just think it's kind of like Trapilo at left tackle. It's nothing against Braxton Jones, but if Trapilo wins it, well, you got a 4-year cheap contract runway at a premium position. That'd be nice to have. Super chat coming in from K. Beatty. Appreciate the 5. Trey Hendrickson for a third, but you pay him 3 for 100, or Shemar for a third on his rookie deal. Are you talking Shemar Stewart? So, like, which one would I rather do? I think that's what you're talking about. Unless you're talking about Shemar Turner, but they're not going to trade Shemar Turner. I think I would still do the Hendrickson one. If I'm trading the same capital, sure, Shemar Stewart will be a lot cheaper, and, you know, he just went in the first round, so to get him in the third 3 months later, that's good value. But A, I didn't think he was really a first-round prospect. I thought he was more of a day 2 guy just because he lacks a lot of polish. And B, even though 3 for 100's a decent coin, a third-round pick straight up for Trey Hendrickson, I think that's a pretty good deal for a guy who's got 35 sacks the past 2 years. He's only 30. It's not like he's 33. You could easily feel good about him for at least a couple more years, if not 3 or 4. So I think I would take that swing. If you could get Trey Hendrickson straight up for a third-round pick, give him 3 for 100 with, 85, 90 guaranteed, I think I would sign up for that. Corey Griffin, if Keenan isn't signed by camp, do you bring him back for vet minimum? I think the only scenario where you bring Keenan back is, well, a couple scenarios. One, there's an injury to one of your top couple of guys. If Rome or DJ were to go down and miss extensive time, I think you would consider bringing Keenan Allen in, a guy that Caleb Williams trusts. Or two, Luther Burden and or Olamide Zaccheaus, like, you're not seeing a guy emerge as that third option. Like, Zaccheaus is, they like him, but he's really more of a fourth guy, and Burden just, maybe he's not picking it up fast enough. Maybe the reps he missed in OTAs and minicamp are playing a role. Maybe he's not mature enough. Who knows? I think those are the two outcomes. Notable injury, the guys after DJ and Rome, no one wants to take that third wide receiver job. Keenan's desperate, takes a cheap deal, comes back to be wide receiver 3. Don't think he'll be back, but I think those are potential scenarios where he would be back. Get yourself an FGB t-shirt today at chatsports.com/FGB. Link is in the comments and the description. If you hate the Packers, this is the t-shirt for you. All right, DC Viper, who is a boom or bust rookie on the Bears roster? Who will hit and who will miss the mark? Ike Shemar Turner fits that mold. You could throw Luther Burden in there. I think his talent exceeds bust, but, is he locked? Is he going to be fully locked in? Now, I don't want to speak to that because I don't know him personally. He seemed pretty fired up when he spoke to the media about being here and playing with Caleb. And, I'm not selling my Luther Burden stock, but, he could fill that mold. It's a 7th-round pick, so, there's no real bust. But, I think there's a wide variance of outcomes for Kyle Monangai's career. I think there's a role where he kind of becomes like a fringe starter type where you pair him with a scat back, and that's a fun 1-2 punch. Or maybe he's just not good enough to play in the NFL. I mean, he's a 7th-round pick. So I think guys like that, it goes either way all the time. So those are a few. I think the Turner one stands out most to me because it feels like he's still learning to play defensive tackle. He's got the physical characteristics, though, to be a very, very good player. But, sometimes guys have the athletic profile, but they just don't know how to play the game. Kind of like, not to this extent in terms of lack of production, but like Shemar Stewart in Cincinnati. It's like, is he ever going to be a good player? I don't know. We'll see. Cornelius, would you be interested in bringing DeMarcus Walker back? It's pretty interesting he hasn't signed. I mean, I'll tell you what. At the time, it felt weird when they cut him, but clearly it was a prototype issue. Dennis Allen didn't view him as a fit. You save $5.5 million, but if you can get him for the vet minimum, I mean, you tell me, DeMarcus Walker or Dominique Robinson? I will take DeMarcus Walker. Now, I get it. They like what they've seen out of Robinson. They drafted him a few years ago. Okay, but I'm trying to win this year. If Walker helps you do that, if he's willing to return on the vet minimum, he probably plays a decent amount. And by the way, he's got flex to kick inside too. I know you have a lot of bodies at D-tack. I know Dio Adengbo is going to do that also. But versatility, veteran, he's a leader type. He was one of the rah-rah guys before every game. So I think he'd be interested in coming back. So yeah, I mean, I'm shocked he is not signed with the team at this point. Subscribe to the channel. We bring you videos every single day throughout the Bears offseason, which is coming to an end. I mean, we're in July now, so before you know it, training camp will be here. Preseason game number 1 will be here, and we'll be off to the races. So this is the time to get in because we're going to only ramp up our coverage from here. So hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and we got you covered. It'll be a fun ride. Mike Nintendo Master, any player you excited to see play in the preseason? I mean, a bunch. I mean, I think you always, all rookies, any rookie that plays, you're excited. I'm excited to see Caleb, assuming he plays. Ben Johnson was under Dan Campbell, who didn't play starters in the preseason, so we'll see what that approach is. But, Tyson, I'm excited to see play as well. Monangai, I think. I know I mentioned all rookies, but trying to think of non-rookies that stand out. Austin Booker, he had a big preseason last year. Can he have another one, and can that carry over? Let's see here. I don't know if they would put Jaquan Brisker out there in the preseason. I would guess probably not, unless they just want to expose him to contact just to kind of see how he reacts. A Tyrique Stevenson, Terrell Smith situation, any position that there's competition, I'm excited. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys that I'm curious about. Also, as excited as we are about the offensive line, the depth guys, who are the backups, especially on the interior? Obviously, you have a few tackles in the mix, with Amegadjie, Trapilo, Braxton Jones. You got Darnell over at the right side. Is Ryan Bates healthy? Is he playing? Luke Newman's obviously a rookie, which we mentioned, but he's a guy they drafted late this year. Bill Murray, who I thought flashed some promise in limited snaps last year before a season-ending injury. So I think they do got to figure out their depth offensive linemen. Saquad's Barkley, would you trade Braxton if a 4th is on the table, if Ozzy beats him out, or keep him as a swing tackle? I do think you have to get at least a 4th because if it's a 5th or less, you could get a 5th or better potentially as a comp pick by letting them go this offseason in the free agency comp pick formula. So that could be a possibility. And B, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I don't think if you trade Braxton Jones, not only do you have to feel good about the guy replacing him, you have to feel good about the other guy too, because you need to have a good swing tackle. That's kind of the luxury of what you have right now. Even if you feel you like a couple of the guys, that's a good thing because one of them can serve as a swing tackle this year. So if you trade Braxton Jones, let's say Ozzy Trapilo beats him out. Trapilo's your left tackle. Well, let's trade Braxton. Well, do you also feel good about Kiran Amegadjie? Because if the answer is no, and if there's not a decent offer for Braxton, well, I'd probably just keep him because I know what he brings to the table. High character guy. If he needs to play, he can be serviceable. So yeah, I think you only trade Braxton Jones if A, the offer's better than expected, or B, you feel good about both other tackles he's competing with. Predict the Bears' record in 2025. How we feeling? 17 games, 10-7, 7-10. 1-16. Get your record prediction in there. Okay, Colton Steen. I love Cairo, but I think we should keep Jonathan Kim. We need a kicker with a bigger leg. Anything 50-plus, I get nervous if Santos will even reach the crossbars. Also, I'm a Michigan State fan, so might be biased. Well, Kim has a big leg. I think that's why they signed him. I also heard that Cairo had a tremendous OTAs and minicamp period. I will say this. The 50-plus thing in terms of, like, can he make those – it's exaggerated in the sense of, like, if they attempt them, he's almost certainly going to knock it through. The issue is there's certain games and wind patterns and in stadiums that, you know, you might get in a game where you can't even try one from 56. And that's pretty rare in today's NFL. Most kickers on most teams at least have the leg to attempt anything inside 60. And in some cases, you're seeing now out to like 65. Brandon Aubrey obviously stands out there. I think that's a little rare. But Cairo's a rare kicker where you're not trying many 56, 58 yarders. You're kind of like 54, 55 and in. Now, again, if he attempts it, he's usually going to make it. Last year from 50-plus, he was 8 for 9. But his long was only 54, and his career long is 55. So he does not have a big leg. If they line him up out there and it's not blocked, it is almost certainly going to go through. But it is kind of a pain in the ass when you get late into a game and you know, shit, if we only get to the 40, 41 and we got to try 58, 59 yarders, probably not going to have the leg for it. Whereas, you know, a guy like Brandon Aubrey, you're past midfield, you at least have a shot. So it's kind of a give and a take. I would call him a very good NFL kicker because he's very accurate. He's reliable when he does go out there. But you have limited range, and especially playing in cold weather and at Soldier Field, that can cost you points in certain situations. Inception Disc 9. What is the likelihood of Major Burns making the rotation? I'll just answer this, making the roster, the 53. I don't know, 30% chance. You know, if you tell me they keep 5 safeties, I would say he's probably the favorite to be the 5th guy. Him and Tyshim Johnson as UDFA rookies. Could he, if they keep 4, could he knock out Elijah Hicks or Jonathan Owens? The key there would be special teams value. Hicks is a tremendous special teams player. Owens can play on special teams as well. Owens has a lot of starting experience at safety in the NFL. So, you know, that has value. I would say among all the UDFAs, he's near the top of the list because this is a position that, you know, this year has some question marks, but long-term has major questions as your top 4 are currently set to be free agents next year. All right, guys, appreciate all the questions. A lot of good ones today. If you have more, you know where to find me, at HGramNFL on Twitter and Instagram. DMs are wide open, so fire in there if you have more Bears, NFL, life questions. I'm ready to go, at HGramNFL.
I ask Harry all my life questions.
Yeah, exactly. What's the old Rosillo segment, life advice?
Yeah, exactly.
Great segment.
Should Harry do a life advice segment? Why for yes or in for no?
Just an AMA, ask me anything.
Yeah.
Be kind of fun.
You have, like, the confidence that, like, if you were answering something you didn't know, I would believe you. Like, if I asked you something, like, complete and you just were off the cuff.
I could just kind of rip it.
I do.
Yeah, I could hold my own.
Yeah.
There was like a brief moment early in college where I'm like, should I get into not psycho, like, I don't know, like I feel like in an alternate life I could have been like a therapist.
Yeah.
Like I could solve other people's issues.
I think that's also part of the territory of, like, having a beard. People just feel like trust you more when you have a beard.
I'm not even just saying this, like people have told me this over time. I'm really good at like reading people and analyzing a situation before it's like even laid out in front of me. So I'll just give an example. When my wife's sister, and I won't use names in this situation, was in high school, this is when we were first dating, you know, they would have people over sometimes, and she'd have friends over and hang out. They had a pool and stuff, all that. I remember there was this one guy, and I'd never talked to him or anything, But I just kind of overheard him, how he was talking and stuff. And I remember telling my wife, I was like, this guy's bad news. Just take my word for it. He was bad news. Just that type of thing. I just have that kind of intuition.
There you go.
So, alternate life, therapy with Harry. Kind of flows.
It does, a little bit.
Kind of flows. Would you guys book a therapy appointment with me? Yes or no in the chat?
Apparently Nick says he'd let you file his taxes. So,
accounting was another potential career. I'm good with numbers. I took an accounting class in high school, actually. I definitely could have done that. If shit hit the fan, I'd probably just go back to school, get a quick business degree, and just become an accountant. Like, that could be like the, oh shit, my life's falling apart.
Right.
Like, save me situation.
Yeah.
I could definitely do that. But Walter says hell no, Cullen yes. So Cullen therapy.
There you go. I will crack open one of these and we'll just talk it out like men.
Yeah, we'll do beer bongs and just hang out.
Listen, I've had numerous a conversation over beer shotgun or two. So
full moons out, couple of drinks. That's when the conversations flow.
Absolutely. Also, did not realize you and Hannah were high school sweethearts.
We were not.
Oh no.
Who told you that?
Oh, sorry. I thought I misheard what you just said.
Her sister was in high school when we were first dating. Like her and her sister are like 7 years apart. So when we were dating at 23, 24, she was like 16, 17. So like sometimes I'd be over hanging out and her sister would have friends over. So yeah, that was that situation. I could see how you could mix that up though.
Gotcha. All right, but, Cornelius coming in with a super chat says, personally, are you a fan of Dennis Allen's scheme? Because I'm not. I think it's a little bit outdated. I think we passed on some good pass rushers because they didn't fit his scheme.
I don't think it's outdated. I do in general like he doesn't blitz as much as I would like, although I do think he'll blitz more than Eberflus. He's pretty exotic on the back end, though. He's aggressive with his corners. He'll mix up coverages, so I like that. The one thing I don't love, and this is not just a Dennis Allen problem, you see this in a lot of schemes, is he is a little obsessed with, like, the archetype. Like, he would have been, like, this reminds me of, like, when the Cowboys drafted Taco Charlton over T.J. Watt, It was like, well, can T.J. put his hand in the dirt? Is he big enough for a 4-3? And it's like, well, can the guy play or not? Because Taco Charlton cannot. TJ Watt can. So I do think there's a little bit, and again, this is not necessarily just a Dennis Allen issue. Like, he likes big, long, physical defensive ends, like Cam Jordan. Like, that's his ideal defensive end. So, that's a nitpicky thing, but I think he's good. I don't think he's like Brian Flores. Like, I'm a more aggressive-minded defensive guy, especially in today's NFL. It's like, I will concede giving up some yards and some points, especially between the 20s, but just blitz the fuck out of the opposing quarterback and force him into mistakes. Like, the data shows if you create enough negative plays, it's like on offense. Ben Johnson has talked about this. Like, turnover differential is no longer like the biggest indicator of winning. It's what's the stat? It's pass game EPA. Mm-hmm. In other words, how efficient are you in the pass game and how many explosives can you create? It's the same thing on defense. How many turnovers? How many times can you tip the ball up and give yourself a chance? Strip sack, like all that stuff. So that's what I'm hoping we get. But I think, and this is why I've pounded the table for adding another pass rusher, is I don't know if they are consistently going to be able to get pressure with their defensive ends. And if they're not able to, then one of two things has to happen. One, you got to get a lot of pressure with your defensive tackles, which you're seeing more of across the league, and the Bears have a lot of different bodies in there, so maybe that'll be the case. Or two, you have to blitz more. So we'll see how they handle that. We'll see if they add a pass rusher. I don't think his scheme is outdated. If anything, the Eberflus scheme kind of was, because it's that kind of Tampa 2, cover 3. It's like the problem with that defense is you have to have really good personnel at all three levels, and all 11 guys on most plays have to win their assignment. That's hard to do over the course of a game. Like, you're not always going to win. So how do you make up for that? Disguises, like stunts with your front four, blitzing, showing different looks, and I think you'll see more of that with DA than you did with Flus. But kind of a long-winded answer. I do like him. I don't think he's like a top 3 DC in the league, but I do think he's a top 10 guy. I think he'll be good.
Yeah, and I think you kind of highlighted there at the end. It's just a needed change defensively for the Bears. Not that
and what's nice is they changed it, but it's still a 4-3. So like you didn't have to like reset a bunch of personnel necessarily,
right?
Because you do have good players on that side. But I do think I'll say this: his scheme fits these corners better than the Flus one did. Like that's what's great. Like Jalen Johnson has been a really good player. He coming out of Utah was a press man guy, and he has played in a zone. You like don't press the receiver off the line for the last 3 years. So, he's got a chance to even get better than he's been the last couple of years. And Tyrique Stevenson has a chance to reach his potential now. So excited about that. Michael, which coaches are on the hot seat this season? Which ones do you think this year will be their last? I did a video on 4Verts about kind of the hot seat status around the league. I think Mike McDaniel, Brian Daboll, Shane Steichen are some that come to mind immediately. I'm trying to think who else I had on that list. Zach Taylor's another one. If they miss the playoffs, he's probably out.
Stefanski just getting out of there, just like
Stefanski. I kind of wonder if this thing gets off the rails, would he just want out? Because I actually think he's a pretty good coach in Cleveland. Some like dark horses. Pittsburgh's kind of in this all-in year. Like, if it just flames out, would Tomlin and the Steelers just part ways? I could see that. I don't think they would fire him. They don't really fire coaches, but they could just agree to part ways. Raheem Morris, it's only year 2 in Atlanta, but I thought they kind of underachieved last year. If they missed the playoffs again, he could be sneakily on the hot seat. Those are some that come to mind. I had a couple more in there, I think, but yeah, those are some ones to monitor for sure. Okay, I think we're caught up on Super Chats. We got one more segment to go. I got breakout candidates for 2025 that we're going to break down next. Coming up on today's episode of Chicago Bears Now, I'm going to take a look at my 5 breakout candidates for the 2025 season for the Chicago Bears. And I remind you guys every year, but I'll do it again here. This is my personal breakout candidates criteria. Rookies aren't allowed. Now, if you have a huge rookie year and you're already established, then next year you wouldn't be eligible either, because the third note here is you can't have already broken out. Right? So, like, Jaden Daniels, for my criteria, wouldn't fit this because he already broke out as a rookie and was very, very good. The other note is you got to be entering year 2, year 3, or year 4. If you're beyond year 4, sure, are there late bloomer breakouts? It does happen, but it's pretty rare, and you're not really going to project that. It's these guys early in their career that have shown potential. Maybe they were high draft picks, haven't put it all together yet. Maybe this is the year they take that big step. Last year I had 10 guys. I'm only doing 5 this year. Tyrique Stevenson, thought about putting a shrug because there were still flashes, but I still think all in all he probably was better as a rookie, so that was an X. Darnell Wright, I think he's established now. Certainly still room to grow. Could take that next step still. Gervon Dexter, soft check mark. I think he improved enough. I think he's established at least as a good player. Is he a high-end starter? I wouldn't say that, but I think he's beyond eligibility for this video this year. Brisker, injuries, I'm not going to include him because I think we have 3 years or 2.5 years of him playing now at a pretty good level. So, when he's out there, it's a green check, but obviously missed a lot of time. Kyler Gordon's good to go. He was a fringe. You could have argued he had already broken out before last year. Roschon, X, did not take that next step. Tyler Scott, barely played. X. Zach Pickens, same deal, barely played. Terrell Smith, shrug emoji, still not a starter, kind of a part-time starter, a high-end backup. I like him, hasn't played enough, not projected as a starter again, so I'm not going to include him in the video this year. But, I think he's – for where they got him and what he's done, he's been pretty good. And then obviously Velus Jones, complete whiff. I didn't expect him to break out, but he had an opportunity to, and that did not happen. Who is your top breakout candidate for 2025? Who is at the top of the list? Let us know in the comments. And if the answer is not Caleb Williams, then I don't know what to tell you, because I don't think you could qualify his rookie season as enough of a success where he's already broken out, like with Jaden Daniels. Now, obviously, Jaden Daniels can still improve and probably should, as he's only 1 year into his career. But to me, I would not include him on a Commanders breakout candidates video. Caleb Williams, while he showed some high-end flashes, also had some low lows, suffered a 10-game losing streak. It was tumultuous and, at times left something to be desired there. His growth is the most important thing for this team this season. Obviously, we all want to win. We want to go to the playoffs, all that stuff. But if you told me today, hey, the Bears go 8-9 this year, but you leave the season knowing without a doubt you've got your franchise quarterback, that would absolutely be a success. Up and down rookie year, I still think there were plenty of positives in there, but we want to see that true breakout this year. Like, ideally, at the end of the year, it's like, okay, this guy's a top 10 QB moving forward. That would be great. At least top 15, but for sure but hopefully top 10 would be ideal. Odunze, kind of the same deal. Saw the flashes. There were some rookie moments where, especially early in the year, where it seemed like him and Caleb weren't on the same page, where Caleb thought he was running a comeback. He kept running the go, and some of that just comes with reps. But certainly still a lot to build on, right? As a number 3 receiver, as a rookie in a bad offense, still caught 50 balls, over 700 yards, big play weapon. He was good. He was good. But unlike Malik Neighbors or Brian Thomas Jr., he's not like established as like, whoa, this is already one of the best receivers in the league. So solid player, but I'm still expecting a big jump. Like I've said it, I think he's a 1,000-yard guy this year. I think there's a world where he's this team's wide receiver 1. I think both those things are possible. I think the 1,000 yards should happen for sure. I don't think he has to be the top receiver on the team this year, but I think it's definitely a possibility. Get yourself a Caleb Williams jersey today, as he and Rome are looking to take off together in 2025. Chatsports.com/Caleb jersey. That link is in the comments and in the description of this video. Click and shop today. Only $100 for a limited time only. I'm going to include Tyrique Stevenson again. He was in the video last year. He's in it this year. I think through 2 seasons, we've seen the highs and we've seen the lows. His highs and lows couldn't be further on the end of each side of the spectrum, right? The low was obviously what happened in Washington. Part of that is maturity. Part of that is on the field just play that we saw after that game throughout the rest of the season. It seemed like he lost his confidence, and he's definitely a guy that when he's playing well, he's playing with swagger, with confidence. He's talking shit. I like it. He toes that line. I think last year he crossed it too many times. I still am a believer in the talent. I'm a believer in the mentality. I like my corners playing with an edge. I will go back to this, and I will continue to say it. The second half of his rookie year and early last year, and by the way, Week 18 against the Packers as well last year in a game they won, he played at a pretty high level. It's just, can you bring it snap to snap, week in, week out? I still think there's a world where he could be a number 1 corner in this league. But the good news for the Bears, just be a good number 2 guy. You got Jalen Johnson. You got Kyler in the slot. This scheme should help being a press man corner. He's big, long, physical, likes to get in receivers' faces. So I think that'll help. It's about being consistent. It's about maturing. And if he can do those things, he's got all the tools in the toolbox. Austin Booker, a player who I frankly thought we'd be talking about more throughout this offseason, hasn't really been the case. Pretty quiet at OTAs and minicamp around Booker. They took him in the 5th round last year. Draft experts said had he gone back to school that year and had a good year, he would have been a 1st or 2nd round pick this year. Well, if that were true, he's now entering year 2 in the NFL. Like, you would expect a 1st or 2nd round pick to at least be a high-end rotation player early on. And, he's been in an NFL system for 2 years. Obviously, all the coaching stuff, we get that. But I did not have it on my bingo card that we would hear more praise around Dominique Robinson than Austin Booker during Bears OTAs and minicamp. Doesn't mean really much of anything. Like, training camp, pads go on, preseason games, on to the regular season. That's what matters. But I'll tell you this. After Montez Sweat and Dio Odengbo, they got to find somebody else who's going to produce off the edge, whether it's Austin Booker, Daniel Hardy, Dominique Robinson, a free agent. I don't really care who it is. I'd love it to be Booker because when they drafted him, they felt pretty good about what he could be. I like the pick as well. He's got the profile. He's got the frame. He needs to probably thicken up a little bit still, but this is a big year for him. Like if he's more of the same from last year, then maybe this is just who he is. Okay, lastly, Kiran Amegadjie. I don't think he has to win the starting job and be a good left tackle to necessarily like be on the positive trajectory, but he's got that opportunity. He's in the mix to be the starting left tackle. Him and Trapilo split reps with the pads off at OTAs and minicamp. Obviously, Braxton Jones is still rehabbing that ankle surgery. And so he's got a shot to win this left tackle competition. Now, I personally am not really convinced he's going to win that job. I do think it'll be Braxton Jones or Ozzy Trapilo, but that doesn't mean he still can't have value. That doesn't mean the arrow can't be pointing up. Number one, he could be the backup left tackle to whoever wins the job. Maybe the other guy is the backup right tackle. I would like to see him get some reps at left and right guard because as much as we have praised the Bears for getting Jonah Jackson, Joe Thuney, and Drew Dahlman and rebuilding that interior offensive line, who are the backup interior guys? Luke Newman, 6th rounder out of Michigan State. Like, hopefully he's a good player, but in the late round rookie, that's 50-50 at best. Ryan Bates, who has an arthritic shoulder and a concussion issue and has not been seen this offseason. Bill Murray, who flashed but brief snaps last year. Like, I look at Kiran Amegadjie, and yes, he's got the arm length and the size to be a tackle, but he also is pretty physical, and maybe he's just not light-footed enough to play tackle at the NFL level, but maybe he could just be this big, physical, mauling guard. Like, I hope the Bears, especially if he's kind of falling behind in that tackle competition, put him at left guard in a preseason game and see if he can go to work. Get him on the move because I'm just envisioning him pulling on like a toss crack play. I think you get him out in space as a guard where, yeah, speed rushers off the edge at tackle are going to give him a problem, but you kick him inside where you're not facing as quick a feeted guy. Maybe that's a role where he could do well. He's your top backup guard, and then maybe he's a starter down the road. So I still think the jury is out on Kiran Amegadjie. I'm not super high on his prospects of winning the left tackle job. That doesn't mean he can't carve out a role here. Who is your top breakout candidate? I'll ask it again. Top breakout candidate for 2025. Caleb's the obvious answer. Maybe throw another name down for us in the comments section and let us know. All right, guys, appreciate it. If you made it to the end of the video, that makes you a real one. My name is Harrison Graham. Don't forget to subscribe. Bear down.
Who is it? Dennis, the Chicago kid, says Rome Odunze. What up, Dennis?
What's up, Dennis? What is up, Dennis?
Ooh, okay. This is an interesting question by Hunter. Predict Ben Johnson's biggest weakness next season. It's a little projecting because obviously he's never been a head coach in the league before.
I would say there's always a learning curve for new head coaches just of like timeout and clock management, which drove us crazy about Flus. Now, he was still doing it in year 3. If anything, he actually got worse at it. Now, most of these coaches now, they have, I forget what they call it, but basically specialists who kind of handle, the analytics, the time management, all that stuff. So hopefully the guy that the Bears have can help Ben Johnson out in that regard. But that's always a learning curve. I think just shifting from being only focusing on, the next offensive series, the next offensive play to like doing the full job. Like you now have 2 jobs on game days. You're the head coach, well, really throughout the week too, and you're the offensive coordinator on game days. Now during the week, Declan Doyle will help with game plans, so we'll, offensive assistant coaches. But during the game, you're calling the plays, sequencing the plays, but you still have to have control of the full game. So I think that's just kind of an easy one to point to for any first-time head coach, especially one who's not a CEO, one who calls either the offense or the defense. So, could there be, I don't know if a weakness is the right word, but like trying to find the balance of when to go for it, when not. Because I expect for him to go for a lot of fourth downs. It comes from Dan Campbell. He's an offensive guy. I would expect for the Bears to be a team 4th and 3 or less. They're almost always going if they're past midfield. And And if they're past midfield, they might go for like 4th and 7 or less, especially if they're not in field goal range. So kind of picking and choosing, knowing when to do that. So, yeah, I think it's just the situational stuff. Like, I don't think all of a sudden he's not going to know how to call plays. So,
Right.
Yeah, that would be what I point to.
I'll say just, and again, this is kind of cheating, and I wouldn't even call this a weakness, but just the ability to handle all the responsibilities, which you kind of touched on as being a head coach. Like, whenever, Ben Johnson, again, maybe goes for it on 4th down, he doesn't get it, or, he has a play call that doesn't go his way, or maybe, having to answer for a player that blows up on the sidelines or what have you. Like, handling that and truly being the CEO in quote unquote of the Chicago Bears and truly like managing that, balancing player personalities while also maintaining your job responsibilities. Like, there may be times like where he may come in front of an interview and he just looks exhausted.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna, to build off that, I was gonna say next, of like, because it's all like, every time he talks and has talked so far, you're like, wow, this guy's really impressive. There's no real adversity this time of year.
Exactly.
If the Bears start 2-4, how is that press conference going? If they lose to the Commanders coming out of the bye week, and they're below 500, how is it going to handle that? If they lose 3 out of 4, if they lose 2 straight, like, is it still status quo, or do you see the cracks start to form? So, we're all human. Like, we're not going to be our best version of ourselves every time we do anything. So, how does he handle it? And he's even talked about that. He's like, the real adversity or the real challenge comes when we do face those challenges and adversities, and how we respond to those. And that's what makes this rewarding, when you can get off the mat and do all that. But it's one thing to say that; it's another thing to go through it. So I do think it's beneficial, Cullen, that even though he's a young guy and his first time head coach, he's kind of been through a lot. He got fired in Miami. He gets back to Detroit, has to reset as a quality control coach, takes over as the OC after Anthony Lynn gets fired, hits the ground running, sees a organization who's done nothing but lose for decades, and is a part of the turnaround. So, he's been around a lot. Like, Brian Flores fired him when he became the head coach in Miami. It was up and down there. It was ugly early in Detroit when he was on that staff. Gets the opportunity to call plays, part of the turnaround. So, like, sometimes, like, I think looking back, like at the Matt Nagy hire, I don't think it was a bad hire, but a couple of things turned out to be true. He really didn't have much play calling experience because Andy Reid called the plays outside of a handful of games when Nagy got to. And B, the Chiefs, even though it wasn't the well-oiled machine it is now with Mahomes winning Super Bowls every other year, they were still going to the playoffs every year. Nagy didn't have this kind of wide array of experiences. He kind of just was on Andy Reid's staff, and they won a bunch, and he didn't have to call plays, and what he actually had to do wasn't a ton. Ben Johnson's done a lot of different jobs for multiple organizations. He's seen the high of turning the Lions around, getting to an NFC Championship game. He's seen the low of being fired by the Miami Dolphins at like 32 years old. So, and having to kind of restart his career a little bit. So, I do think those experiences, even as a young guy, will be helpful when things go awry, because this is the Bears. The chances of this just being a smooth journey are very slim. So that's when we'll learn even more about him, which will be exciting to see how he handles it. So.
Absolutely. And again, like, a lot of this would be projecting if we were like, oh, I'm not sure, if he's going to be the best at clock management, to throw something out there, or I'm not sure how he's going to be at the best at the podium. Like, at the end of the day, we have to see him do it. He's handled everything, I think, pretty well in all regards in terms of being a first-time head coach. But he's got to go out there and do it at the end of the day. So we're just kind of waiting and seeing. And, I'm personally very interested in this story because, again, it's that old cliche, right? Like, you always want to get the next hot offensive mind, which now the Bears have. Again, we've seen offensive minds that haven't worked out. Mike McDaniel potentially being one in Miami. Doug Peterson flamed out in Jacksonville. It's not always a guaranteed thing, and we just hope that Ben Johnson is the correct one and is looked at as the next Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Kevin O'Connell, whatever you want to call it.
That's the hope.
So
that's really the gold mine. If you can hit on an offensive guy who calls plays, you mesh that with the right quarterback, you can compete for a while because you're not losing your offensive coordinator, and that person's also your head coach. Even if you're losing your DC sometimes, it's like you still have that continuity between head coach and quarterback. Like that's the dream. That's what the Bears are going for here, and we'll see if it ends up working out.
As we get Adam Downing coming in with a super chat. He says, was it a mistake to give Kyle a $20 million 4-year deal on my franchise?
Kyle.
4-year 20.
Who are you talking about?
It's not Kyler Gordon because his was 3 for.
Who are you talking about, Adam? I feel like I'm just missing something here. Someone want to help me out in the chat?
I'm a none guy. Not Kyler Murray.
Not Kyler Murray. Is this going to be like some Blackhawks player I'm unfamiliar with? Kyle Orton? Did he sign? Was that the contract back in the day? Let's see. Googling it right now. Let's see. Not seeing 4 years, $20 million for Kyle Orton. I don't know what you mean, Adam. Follow up. I don't know why people are saying Trustman in the chat. Mark Trustman. I mean, hiring him was a mistake if that's what you're going for. Trying to give you time, Adam, before I sign off, but
yeah, I'm not
coming up empty here. Coming up empty here.
Adam, where you at, brother?
Give you about 20 seconds, Adam.
I'm legit. Like, I can't. Maybe I'm just tired at the end of the day, but. Adam! Kyle Long,
Kyle
Angel
Long?
says, question mark?
I wouldn't have even
check
called that
on
a mistake.
franchise.
I wouldn't have even called that a mistake if that's what they get. Kyle Long's a good player. All right, Adam, we're going to sign off, but we'll be live Thursday, so feel free to ask then, or you can slide in the DMs and ask me. Monangai did not get $20 million bucks, 7th-round pick. So
no, he did not.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Adam's going for there, but appreciate everybody for tuning in. Appreciate also the schedule. I don't know Colton. He'll have to respond Thursday. Appreciate everybody being flexible with their schedule as well as we've been moving around these live shows. Should be Thursday unless something comes up. So stay tuned, 3, 4 o'clock Central. I have not seen that, Angel. I'll have to look into that. But we'll get out of here. Appreciate Colin for producing. Shout out to everybody for hanging out. See you guys soon. Peace.